everybody. Welcome to join us here at the live stream, live from ISSE in Long Beach. My name is Philipp Liver. I'm the CEO of Genbook. For those that are not familiar with Genbook, it's an online solution for small business entrepreneurs in the health, wellness, and beauty industry. Today, I'm joined by Nicck and Michael, and we'll be talking about what it takes to deliver an amazing experience. Nicck from Townsend Eyebrow Artistry, and Michael Vellis from the Powder Group. Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure. Let's get to know you a bit more. We start with Nicck.
Let's see. Well, I'm a licensed esthetician. Been in the industry for 17 years. We focus primarily on brows. I'm known as the East Coast Brow King, and so we see over 1,200 clients a month. I'm just doing brows in my salon in Philadelphia. So that's who I am.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Michael.
Hi, Philip. So I am Michael Vellis. I'm the founder of a company called the Powder Group. We are in our 17th year of business now. I also publish a magazine with the professional makeup artist community called Non-Makeup Magazine. Our group is about community. We're about connectivity, sort of like our beauty association is for the general beauty industry. We're very specific to makeup. So our community is made up of top-tier makeup artists, working artists, beginning artists, all focused on creating a strong career as well as strong technicity and artistry, but also really, really credibly a strong community. As Nicck knows, this is an industry that is, you're on your own a lot.
Yep.
And to have a community of people surrounding you that you know are there to support you is really important. So I'm thrilled that we can do that with our members.
Fantastic. Let's continue right there, actually. With everybody watching and listening, keen to understand, you see 1,200 clients a month, you've been in business for 17 years. What are some of the keys to success that you've experienced over the years?
I think some of the keys to success is being consistent, quality assurance, meaning making sure that the work is what it should be, what the clients are anticipating, making sure that you're being current, but at the same time, you don't have to follow every trend, but you should be very aware of the trends.
Yeah.
And then you can decide whether or not you want to incorporate that in your business. But I think being very consistent in what it is your brand is, meaning what it is that you're offering, just making sure that you have a niche and knowing what your brand is and making sure that the quality insurance is really good.
Honestly, I think that we are in such an interesting time in our industry. This industry has never been more vibrant. It has never been more exciting. It has never been more filled with different types of artists, from influencers who do incredible makeup on themselves, to people who do transformational makeup on themselves and others, to the type of work that comes out in film and television now. We look at the awards that are being handed out and nominated. The work is exceptional.
Yes.
But there's so much out there, and there are so many more artists in the industry now. I think that what it takes to be successful is finding your path, finding your voice as an artist, and as you have very clearly with your brow work and your type of clientele and your type of artistry. If you're all over the place in this industry, you don't have a home, you don't have a space, you don't have there are too many competitors within each realm. Never mind if you're out there trying to be everything to everyone. So I think that, Phil, the thing for me that makes artists successful now in this industry are being able to focus. Being able to focus, have authenticity, have the ability to be an original, and to your point, Nicck, not to follow trends because a trend is a trend, but to follow styles of artistry when they are right for the particular work and for that client.
Yeah.
I think you'd agree, Nicck, that there's a lot of people out there doing work that isn't appropriate because they are trying to do something with the newest glitter or do something with the newest lip color. And you see a lot of stuff that maybe doesn't fit the mold where it belongs. And that's why I'm thrilled to be sitting here with Nicck, because there's no more adept artist at finding the right look for the right reason and the right client. So I'm honored to be here with Nicck.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm honored to be here with you. No, because I followed you. I'm sorry. I followed you years ago when I went to the first makeup show, and the powder room was everywhere. Vanessa Myricks, AJ Kirk, everybody knows who the powder room is, and for you to give me the compliments, I can only help but to reciprocate how amazing you are.
Well, thank you.
So I'm honored.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All honored.
And we're honored to be here.
We're honored to be with you, because I love Genbook.
We were just saying what a big family it all is, and as you say, oftentimes you're on your own, and you then rely on the family to stay current with the trends that we're talking about. Focus just before, which is something that we talk at Genbook a lot about. The conversations that we have with customers, it is constantly about how overwhelming it is to run a business. You started your business because you were good at browse, but all of a sudden it's about the admin side of things and staying current with the trends, as you say. So the ability to focus, and then of course what we can provide from a technology platform to help entrepreneurs gain that focus is very important to us. We sort of talk about the same question, but from the other angle. What are some of the biggest challenges that you had to face in your career? How did you overcome them?
Some of the biggest challenges, time management. When you're an entrepreneur, especially a salon, and a busy, successful salon, you can't do everything.
Yep.
And not to plug Genbook, but to plug Genbook, that's where Genbook comes in for me, because I don't answer the phone when I'm with clients. I think it's rude. So if a client wants to make an appointment, they can go right online. So mine was time management. I can't be everything to everybody. I didn't know how to delegate. So Genbook takes care of, the booking side of it. And then I have to manage the other things. I think time management is because I have to be Nicholas to my family at home. I have to be Nicck Townsend to my clients. I have to be Nicck Townsend to my community of brow artists and just the community as a whole. So time management was my biggest struggle. But I'm still learning it. But I've gotten so much better with it. The time management and running, and I hope this doesn't sound big-headed, but running a successful business, time management, because you have to delegate and be who you need to be to everyone. So that's my biggest hurdle.
I can't agree more. I think that a tool like Genbook actually allows an artist to focus on creating strong client relationships, allows an artist or a business, a salon, to understand how to go to that next level with their artistry and their technique without having to worry so much about that back-end moment. And It's a very organized way of thinking and working. I would say that one of the things that I feel is the biggest challenge is, I'll speak for myself personally first, and then if I might, I'd like to speak from the artist perspective. For me as a business owner, the sheer amount of information that comes at us these days as a community, whether through social media platforms, whether through the innumerable number of shows that are out there now that we can go and experience some level of artistry. ISSE does such an incredible job, and Pro Beauty Org does such a great job of curating, so that way those folks who are part of PBA, those folks that come to ISSE or the other programs that Pro Beauty puts on, like Beacon for the students, that gives them the opportunity to say, okay, I've got someone here who's going to help me shift the noise and be able to focus on what I know is relevant, incredible, and important. Mm-hmm. What I feel very fortunate is that with the Powder Group, our community comes to us and they look at our influence, at our social media, at the Powder Group or at On Makeup Magazine, and they know I and our team are curating for them. So they're not going to see stuff in that realm that isn't relevant to them as professional makeup artists. There are a lot of brands we don't engage with. So the sheer number of brands, the sheer number of artists, the sheer number of types of work that are out there now get very confusing to the artist. And when you are running a business, Nicck, as an environment where you're producing artistry and doing services, myself, where we're producing sort of an intangible, we're creating community. We're creating an energy where people come together, whether it be digitally through our Facebook community, or whether it be in person at our programs and our events, or we were lucky enough to be asked to curate here, so we have all the makeup education. So coming here to the Powder Group, like, I know and our people know that we have relevance and credibility. But going back to that same thing I said is difficult for artists, it's the same thing for all of our businesses. How does Genbook stand out as a brand that people know they can trust? How does the Powder Group reach out to a new person, a new audience, a new part of our community that might not know all that we are about? And there's so many ways to get information and so much misinformation out there that I think the the cloudiness, the fog. They call it June gloom in California. It's those foggy mornings, right? That you wonder if the sun's coming out. We want to clear that June gloom at the Powder Group. And I know with you as an artist, I know your clients come to you and they don't question whether a technique or a product are going to be amazing. They trust you, and you want a new client to trust you. Just getting through that noise, getting through that fog is, I think, the biggest challenge we have as an industry right now.
I think there's a ton of really interesting points that you bring up. I love the June glooms, of course. That's a great analogy. But yeah, the piece of community and trust, and then for you, I mean, you've got, last time I checked, close to 130,000 followers on Instagram. The trust, of course, is there. You've built your brand over the years. I don't think anyone walks into your business, questioning the craft and the service that you provide. But what I'm hearing a lot there as well is what comes beyond the service. And for us, but I mean, we might be a bit biased. Our hashtag is experience is everything. But we believe that, of course, there's the service and there's the experience side of it. So you touched on time management was one of the things that was challenging in running and growing your business. In your industry and in your experience, what sets apart a mediocre experience from a great one, and what are you doing actively to deliver the best experience to your clients?
For me in my salon, I will say I get beat up for this because I am always on time. If I am 1 minute late for a client, I get the service away. And in my salon, I've only done that 4 times. I want to make sure that I start my client on time. I want to make sure that the atmosphere is conducive to a spa-like setting, and make sure that I'm producing exceptional work. So for me, I like to create an atmosphere that my clients, they already trust me, but it is such a rewarding compliment when my clients lay back in the chair and they fall asleep. That means I really trust you. So I think when you can create an environment, just as you said, where your client really trusts you, then you've done your job. Yeah. So it is very important. It gets to having snacks for them. It gets to the right music. It gets to the right scent. Just for in the salon, and we're just a brow salon, but it's more like a spa. It's creating that environment. Yeah, it's an experience, and I want them to be able to say, "I had the best brows of my life." But oh my God, the way that the salon smells. Oh my God, the way when I got my facial massage. That's what's important to me. But again, I'm always starting on time. I have to, if your appointment's at 3, we're starting at 3. And you're going to be done at the time that you're supposed to be done so that you can get to your next appointment. So for me, that is just making sure that the atmosphere I'm exceeding what people say that I am.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't agree more. Again, it's funny that you have experienced everything. One of our things is elevate everything. Like everything is elevated. Like it's about, it's not enough to be a great artist. It's crowded. There's more and more artists coming in every day. Yeah. And whether you're Nicck or whether you're a new artist or whether you're somebody who just got out of school and has no idea where to go next, there's a lot of people at your level. So what you can do to ensure that you start to stand out is to make sure that you are elevating every experience. Elevate everything. Hashtag elevate everything. It's literally our hashtag. That's why I love experience everything. Elevating an experience is more than doing amazing work. The way that the space smells, the way that it sounds, all those things, the timeliness is all critical. For us at the Powder Group, the thing is that you feel welcome. We also use a new hashtag at the Powder called hashtag You Belong Here. And it's really stands for what we are about. You belong here. And it has 2 meanings, right? It's you belong here. This is where you should be. This is where you should be. There's a great program. There's a great event. We're a great way of connecting to other artists. But you belong here also means you're welcome here. And you feel good about yourself here. And it is a tough industry, and it never gets easier, and you know this, right? Yes. It's always a hustle, always a struggle. How many great brow artists can we name right now? Between Damone and Eugenia Weston and Kelly Baker and Kelly Baker out of ISSSE. It's crazy. So what is that experience that makes your experience yours, and what is that experience that makes ours? But here's the thing that's really important to me. You said the word consistency before. You can elevate But if you're not elevating consistently and you're not doing it the same way every time, if you're not doing it exactly the same way and that welcome is exactly as warm and you feel like you're supposed to be here every single time, whether it's your first time or your 10th time, that's a different thing. And we have all experienced restaurants where we love going and one day there's a different bartender. I go bartender automatically, apologize. Hendrix up twist. My bartenders know that. So if I go in and I don't have that experience, or the place smells funny, or the service is as good as it used to be, it's not consistent, and that consistency is critical now because there are so many places to go for education and for community, like what I provide and what the Powder Group provides. So many places to go for great salon services and brown services, and we have so much competition in all these fields that the only way that we can make sure that our brand stands out is how we make people feel. Maya Angelou's quote, right? People will forget the things you said, people will forget the things you've done, but they will never forget the way you made them feel. And I hope that that's what we do at the Powder Group. I have clients who go to you, so I know that that's what you do in your space. So that's the key. And so thank you for experience is everything, because it makes a big deal.
Yes, it does.
Hashtag you belong here. I really love that. It reminds me, I was talking to Benny Conrad, the barber, the other day, and he was saying raising prices is a way of creating exclusivity, being warm and being welcome, and being open to everybody. That's a way to increase inclusivity, and that resonated really well with me. And I think that's touches on exactly what you were saying. You've been in business 17 years. You're seeing 1,200 clients every month. Whether you like it or not, you're thought leaders in your space. So the people listening to us and tuning into the live cast obviously want to hear from experts such as yourselves what lies ahead. How can I get ahead in my industry? So if we continue the conversation on providing great experiences, what do you sort of predict over the next 5 to 10 years needs to be true to deliver great experiences?
In the next 5 to 10 years, I think that elevating and remaining consistent, I'm just going to piggyback off of that, is what is important for you to grow in the next 5 to 10 years. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see, well, in the last year, brows have grown 37%, just the brow business alone. So in 5 to 10 years, I think it's going to be probably double that. And I think what has to happen is you have to make sure that you have something that is so unique that it stands out. And that is only something that you can create when you not only produce great work, but you've had an encounter with your work. It's something altogether different when Michael can say Nicck does amazing brows, but if I can't step back and look at my work and think that I've done an amazing job, then I won't go in with the intention of doing the next person an amazing job. Does that make sense? And so I think that, once again, I think for the next 5 to 10 years, there are going to be so many brow artists, there are going to be so many more hairstylists, so many more makeup artists. If you are not in tune with you and your work, or have had an encounter with you and your work, those next 5 to 10 years are going to be horrible for you. Because what's going to happen, like social media now, I'm a makeup artist, oh, she contours, I contour, she has more followers than me, I'm not good enough. And it's just like you have to have an encounter with you and your work. And once you have an encounter with you and your work, then you can grow. You can keep elevating, keep having an encounter with you and your work. And I promise you, the more you do that, the more you'll soar. That's just what I see in the next 5 to 10 years.
I want to jump on that word social media. Because boy, has that changed the game.
Yes, it has.
And it hasn't changed the game all for the good. And fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, the age of the influencer who is being paid to do a lot of posting because they have a lot of followers is fading away.
Yes.
And that's a good thing for our industry because it's less confusing for people. And it's, back in the day, and 9 out of 10 dentists recommend toothpaste, and you say, well, it must be great. And now it's not 9 out of 10, it's the person with the most followers recommended, so it must be great. But the community of especially professionals who have always sort of looked at that sort of influencer world with a little bit of trepidation, the consumer also gets it now. So I think that as we move forward, Philip, as we move forward into the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to see this idea back to reality, back to basics, back to authenticity. And authenticity is truth. And authenticity and truth are great connections. And you create strong relationships with people that you trust, you have good communication with, that you have good engagement with. You don't create strong relationships with people that you know through digital means and you want them to like your things on social. It's a very different world as we move forward. I also think that the other thing is, as we move forward, this industry is finally, and we've been doing this for a long time with the Powder Group, and I know Nicck has looked at this and the way he treats his clients in business. We don't just look at how do you do makeup. We haven't done a smoky eye class in 10 years. There's plenty of them out there. We do wellness programs. We do creative artistry programs to get our community to paint and to draw and sculpt, so they can feed their creativity in ways that are not opening magazines. We celebrate the idea of business. We celebrate the idea of technology, but technology that is useful. I always say, I hold my phone up in front of a class and I go, this is not a tool for relationship creation. You cannot create worthy, strong, valuable relationships through this device, through your phone. You must get in front of people. And I think that the idea of coming together as community and the idea of creating a 360-degree approach to your work, which is wellness, which is the way you take care of your clients, which is understanding something like Genbook and how it can support your business, make your life easier, your business run more smoothly, so that you can actually concentrate on those other things, staying inspired, taking time to come to ISSE, taking time for yourself to go get your brows done, and have a beautiful spot. I want to go get my brows done so I can fall asleep in the chair. So I'm going to have to talk to you about when we're going to work that out.
Yes,
but that, I think, is the thing. I think we're coming back to this. We always say at the Powder Group, we don't work with influencers, we work with the influential. And that's the big difference between how we focus on our artists and who we put in front of our community. They know we have curated this. Well, we have their back. And I think creating strong, trusting relationships will move our industry forward. And again, this is not saying that influencers are not inspirational. I am very inspired by many of them. And a lot of influencers do wonderful makeup on other people as well. And that is a makeup artist. But there's a difference. We know there's a difference. And our audience knows that. So I think that the Genbook audience understands as well, where do I look for my inspiration? Where do I look for the influence of how I think about my business moving forward? And I think you have to be whole. You have to be whole going forward. You can't just focus on one thing.
A lot of goodness in there. I think we could be talking for hours about being authentic, especially in the age of social media. That's a whole topic in and of itself. Before we jump into Q&A, because we've got a few questions from the audience, to wrap that part up, and I think it segues and dovetails really nicely to what you were just saying. What would you say is the single best piece of business advice you've received? Probably very easy for you because that's your bread and butter, so we do Nicck first.
Two things. Can I give two?
You can give two.
My mother said to me, she said, Nicholas, when you change, everything around you changes. And what that means is, when I elevate, everything around me elevates. And so it just puts me in a place where I have to, doing my best work. I think before I was just doing it without intention. I didn't have a destination. So when you change, everything around you changes. It has no choice to change. And then someone said to me that your work wins and speaks for itself. And so I know a lot of us, especially with social media, we get intimidated. We know our work is good, but we're looking at the influencers and they only do makeup on themselves. They can't do it on other people. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them, not all of them. But you have to know that, once again, having an encounter with yourself, that your work wins and it speaks for itself. Not that you're not supposed to do the work, but you have to have an encounter to be very confident in the work.
It's so important. And I think there's two things that came to mind immediately. One is a boss I had many years ago when I told what I was going to be doing with my business, and they said, it's going to be really hard. And I said, I know. And they said, it's going to be harder than you think it is. And I said, I know. And they said, no, I mean, it really is going to be harder than you think it's going to be at its hardest point, and it probably will be hard for a long time. And he said, do you believe in what you're going to be doing? And I said, with every ounce of my soul. He said, then never stop going in that path. Never look back. because that is your journey and that is your path. The other thing that popped into my mind is a very good dear friend of mine, William Edge, who has a salon chain down in Texas and a few other places. And I was talking with him one day, and he is a leader who teaches and inspires, and I teach and hopefully inspire. And I sat at dinner with him one day, and I said, this is many years ago, and I was talking about something I had thought about doing with the powder group. And I said, but it's not going to work. And he said, why? And I said, it just can't, the way that this is working. I started using the word can't. He said, why? I said, and he just kept coming back with me, well, why? And I got a little irritated. He goes, that's bullshit, man. Can I say bullshit? It's Facebook. He goes, that's bullshit, man. You can do anything you need to do. He said, you're Michael Vellis. Just go do it. And I was like, oh, man, no, I got to go do it. But for what it's worth, that moment changed the way I perceive what can or cannot be accomplished. Doesn't mean it's not a struggle, because it's always a struggle. It's always hard. We're always hustling, and there's always more people coming in to try to take what you've created, right? Take a little piece of what that business is, and that's fine because that's competition. But knowing that you can do it and you shouldn't question yourself, and that's BS, man, just go do it. That changed a lot for me.
I love that.
You both are very busy individuals. I appreciate it so much taking out the time, coming here, talking to me. Our audience appreciates it. Obviously, everybody follow Nicck Townsend, follow the Powder Group. Thanks so much for sharing, being authentic, and sharing your experience and giving advice to other aspiring entrepreneurs. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.